Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dave. Today we're talking about vintage guitars and how player grade might just be the way to add one to your collection. Vintage guitars. When we think of that, we think of some of the most collectible guitars in the world from the 50s and the 60s, maybe even the 70s. But it's not always possible because vintage usually means quite pricey, and some of us don't have the kind of budgets that you'd need to purchase a guitar from the 50s, 60s or 70s. Or do we? Well, that is where player's grade guitar comes in. And you might be asking me, hey Dave, what the hell is a player's grade guitar? And it's exactly what it says on the tin. So it's a guitar that has been played to death. Well, not quite to death, but it's been played a lot, has been not protected as much as, say, a collector's edition or a collector's standard. So collector's standard, everything has to be top notch, has to be in good condition. With a player's grade, you might have scratches, dents, dings, worn off paint. Wait a minute, it's a Relict guitar, right? Check out my Murphy Labs video up here in the cards where you'll find out about Relict guitars. No, but yeah, you can have all those things. You might also have something like, you might have a headstock repair, you might have other repairs that have been done to the guitar. You might have things like parts changed, like tuners, pickups are big ones, non-original bridges, all that sort of stuff. You might also have like a refin, which is when a guitar is changed colors or painted a different color. Could be sanded down in parts, could be, all kinds of things. But basically it's the same guitar, still plays well and everything like that, but it's not up to a collector's standards. That's a player's grade guitar. And it can mean some bargains, and there's definitely out there like guitars from 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s even nowadays as vintage as well, which become a lot more affordable. And the first guitar we're going to look at is actually a Gibson, and Gibson like to charge money, so they're usually quite expensive even on the second-hand market. But this is a Melody Maker SG from 1967, and it actually looks really nice. I do love the SG, guys. If you have not seen my SG video, my fanboy video, check it out up here, because I do love the Gibson SG. But yeah, the thing about the SG is that it looks phenomenal no matter what they do. And now this has been sanded down from its original version. And this body will be a bit smaller than a traditional SG would be. It's been painted in this brown color to give it a brown look. But a lot of the original parts are still there. It's the original tuners, got the original pickups, original pick guard, the original strap buttons. And yeah, some other stuff has been added, like the tremolo has been added to it, which looks okay. Now, of course, this is a Melody Maker, so it's a bit stripped down, but you do have to live with this headstock if you decide to go with this guitar. Now, this was the original. This is not cut down by a person. This is exactly how they came out of the factory. And yes, they look ridiculous. And this particular one is filthy and needs to be cleaned. Listen, if you're posting something online for sale, clean it. Just bloody clean it, please. This is ridiculous. Anyway, this SG, guys, is actually a really nice looking SG if you clean it. And it comes in at just €1,279. So I actually think that's a bit of a deal. These Melody Makers from the 60s, 50s and 60s, in fact, go for somewhere around the €2,000 mark usually. So it's nice to see something a little bit cheaper. Now, as I said, player grade, so it's not going to be in the greatest condition, but definitely will still be playable. The SG is cool, but what about this? This is a silver tone 1965, and the case, oh yeah, the case is a tube amp. That is correct. So it's just a beautiful guitar. And of course, silver tone made by Danelectro for the Sears Roebuck company. I don't fully know the whole thing with that, but that's a big thing in America, right? So you can tell me in the comments below if you know what that is. I don't really care. They had this cool guitar collection together. It was like an all-in-one package. You buy the guitar with the case and the amp was in it. Yeah, and it's a tube amp and a guitar. These are really cool, I think, and the color is red burst. That's what they call it, red burst. And it has like a glittery, sparkly kind of vibe to it as well. So look, if for no other reason, this headstock alone is worth buying this guitar. How amazing is that? I mean, it's not your usual headstock, that's for sure. So it's the 1965 Danelectro and the 1457 case and amp together. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, hey, if you're a busker, I suppose you need somewhere to plug it in. Never mind, it's all right. So on Reverb, this is actually going for 1,192 euros, and it's actually quite an expensive version because there are actually cheaper versions on there. This one looked the cleanest, and that's why I went for this one. But definitely, this is a cool thing. If you had this in your collection, it would stand out. Now, have you ever said to yourself, hey, I would love a Fender Mustang? Absolutely, lots of people have. Have you ever said, I would like a Fender Mustang, but only if there were Firebird pickups in it? Yeah, no one has ever said that. But here's one, and it's a 1964 red Fender Mustang, player's grade. It's a little bit beat up. It's not obviously in the greatest condition. It doesn't have its original pickups. It has these Duncan Firebird style pickups in it. And but look, it looks pretty cool. This is exactly the kind of thing Kurt Cobain would have picked up if he was around today to, you know, starting out his career. This is exactly what he would pick up if he had 1,599 euros. That is the most expensive guitar that we're looking at here today. I know, in particular, guys, tell me what you think of this Mustang with the Firebird pickups. It stands out, it's different, it's vintage because it's from 1964. Some people will think it's blasphemous, and that's good enough for me. Speaking of Fenders, we have this. This is a really cool guitar, the Coronado 2. Now, the dating on this is not actually 100% accurate. It says 1973 to 1974, but it's one of those 2 years. This is a really beautiful cherry sunburst guitar, and it weighs just 5 pounds, just about 5.5 pounds. This is a really, really nice guitar. Now, I can't actually see, aside from the pickups, what they have changed on this guitar. It still has a lot of the original appointments on it. It looks to be in quite good condition, and for a 70s, now 70s was not the greatest time in the history of guitars, but this looks like a really, really nice guitar. So this is coming in at 1,534 euros, and honestly, if you're in the semi-hollow market for looking for 335 or a casino or something along those lines, this might be worth having a look at. And in some ways, I've saved the best for last. We've got a 1961 Danelectro faux wood U1 single pickup, and it looks like this. And let me tell you, if you are into vintage guitars, if you were into Relict guitars, if you like, you know, want all that worn-inness, this guitar has it all. Because check out the back. It's a phenomenal looking thing. If you're into that, you know, worn in look, let's say, the Relict look, this has got it all. From 1961, so it's exactly 60 years old. And this faux wood finish with the white headstock and white painted back neck is apparently the rarest that it came in. Now, this guitar is on Reverb at the moment for 1,023 euros. So the cheapest out of the bunch we're looking at. And listen, if you're a fan of Relict guitars, you don't need, it's done. It's ready to go. And it's got that Danelectro sound. Who plays Danelectros, I hear you ask? Well, of course, one of the most famous people would be Jimmy Page from that band Led Zeppelin, which I'm meaning to check out one of these days. Just kidding. Yeah, so, you know, it's a pretty cool looking thing. Of course, Jimmy Page's one was black, but this is a cool looking finish, I gotta admit. And guys, that is how you can add a vintage guitar to your collection for less than you probably think. Guitars all the way back to the 50s for less than 2,000 euros, definitely available. There's an awful lot more available on Reverb. I would suggest you do check out Reverb. Very cool website there. I will leave a link in the description below. And guys, tell me, what is your favorite vintage guitar? Just drop it in the comments there. What would you like to see? And how much would you be willing to spend on a vintage guitar someday if you were saving up, you know, special occasions and all that sort of stuff. Guys, thanks very much for joining me today. There's going to be a video recommended at the end of this video here. It would be cool if you could check it out for me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, guys, and I'll see you again at the weekend. Take care.